Hi everyone, this is Kat from Petite Plan. Welcome to my little tutorial on how to use our simple budget spreadsheet. So when you first open your spreadsheet, this is what it's going to look like, completely blank, but this little dashboard here is going to fill in with lots of really helpful charts along the way as you input your finances. So to get started, we're going to make sure that up here we're in budget mode. The spreadsheet has two modes, one that's going to show you helpful charts and diagrams as you budget, and then one that will show you spending insights once you've completed your budget and you've started spending your money. So first thing we're going to do is input the budget period. This can be anything from weekly, it can be your paycheck dates, it can be a month to month. The month up here will update even if this goes between 2 months. So let's say where you get paid on the 12th of November and then you get your next paycheck on the 12th of December. We can update that so we know what's going on in our sheet. I'll just undo that for now. Another quick little thing to point out is I'm doing this video on my iPad, but if you're on the computer, anywhere where there's a date input, you can double click and you'll get a little pop-up calendar that makes it easier to input your dates. All right, so next we input our currency. You can put any currency symbol in there and the whole spreadsheet down here will update with your relevant currency. And then starting balance over here will be your rollover. So anything you've got in your account to start with. I personally like to zero out my spending account every time I get paid and start from fresh. So any money that's left over gets automatically allocated to savings, but you can do it however works for you. So let's just pretend that we're starting off with $1,000. All right. Now, over here we have all of our different spending categories. Here is a summary that will update throughout the time to let us know a sort of overall cash flow. And then we have our spaces for our income, our expenses, debt, investments, savings, and spending. In these white boxes up here, you can call these categories whatever you like. You know, you might not have debt. You might want to rename this something like subscriptions. Maybe this is where you can put your Netflix and Spotify and all that kind of stuff. And those categories will update throughout the spreadsheet everywhere. The same goes for these categories in here. I've input a few to get you guys started, but you can change these, add these, do whatever you want, and they'll update throughout. So it's completely customizable. Let's get rid of these dates that I accidentally left in here. Okay. So we are going to start off by putting in our income. So let's say on the 1st of November, on the 1st of November, you get your paycheck. You're expecting that to be maybe $2,000. And then maybe you freelance and that might be another 1,000. And side hustle, maybe you'll make an extra $500. And I don't know, let's say $20 in dividends and no AdSense. These dates are completely up to you. You don't have to infill them, but if you want to keep track, it's a handy way to make sure you're on top of everything. In all these categories, we're not going to input anything in the grey columns. They're going to update automatically, so only ever in the white. All right, so we filled in our income. We can see in our handy little chart here, it's filled up with money. It's telling us that we have $3,520 now to allocate, and so far we have allocated nothing. So let's start allocating our money. All right, so to speed things up, I'm not going to input due dates in here, but you guys can input them wherever it's relevant for you. All right, so expenses. Let's say our rent is going to be $1,000. Phone bill might be 50. Insurance, another 50. We'll just put some fake values in here just to get everything started. Maybe that's 100. And let's say maybe 300 on groceries, Netflix, and Spotify. All right. So we've allocated some of our money. We want to allocate all the rest and get this remaining to zero. This is kind of like a zero-sum budget strategy. If you don't know about that, it's a super helpful way to sort of organize your finances. You can give it a little Google. But basically what we're trying to do is to make sure that every dollar that comes in sort of has a job and we are putting it to work somewhere. So first our money comes in and then, we have our living expenses and all the things we have to pay. So that stuff has to go out. And then once we pay all of our different expenses and debts, then we have leftover money, which we can either invest or save or both. And finally spend. The way I really like to think about it, which took me a while to actually figure out, is that you want to spend after saving, not save after you've spent, not save whatever's left over after you've just spent wildly. This really helps you stay on track and really maximize the money you make. So let's keep going. Let's say our credit card has 500 on it. And I'm in Australia, we call this student loan HEX. We usually pay that out of our paycheck, but I know in the US, some people need to pay off their student loan on their own. So let's put another $100. And we don't have a car loan or personal loan payment this period. All right, we've got $1,330 left over. Let's see where we're going to put it. So let's say we want to put in 100 for our retirement, and maybe we have a nice ETF portfolio of, let's say we're going to put in $50. Even if you've never invested before, I really highly recommend trying to even just put away the tiniest amount, just to help you get into the habit. It'll really make you feel good and organized. All right, so now we know we have $1,180 left, and that is going to be split between our savings and our spending. So I want to, let's say, put away $500 to my house savings fund, maybe another 100 in holiday, and we'll just leave these blank for now. So we've got $580 left over for spending. And obviously all of these figures are completely made up. So, you might think that some of these incomes and outgoings are outrageous or really tiny. They are totally not real. Once you input all your numbers, it should make a lot more sense for you. But let's just continue putting in some samples. So we'll just keep going. Let's say another 50. Lots of 50s just to get us ready. Maybe shopping we'll do 100. And, we'll have a gift this month, so 50. And let's do some transport, another 50. All right. Still having $180 left. Maybe we'll put in 100 because we might have a doctor's appointment. And these last $80, maybe we will chuck it in our emergency fund. And we have allocated all of our funds, nothing left over. That was the goal. So now we can jump up and put our little sheet into spend mode. Actually, before I do that, let's take a look at our dashboard and see how it's updated. So This is a little graph of your expected versus actual cash flow as you start spending money throughout the period. You'll see where you've overspent or where you've underspent on the whole. This chart over here gives you a percentage breakdown of where your money is going, how it's been allocated in terms of your budget. And over here we have our top 5 expense and top 5 spending categories. I've seen a lot of budgets where they show you the spending of every single category and how much you spent here and how much you could have saved here and where you overspent, and it can be super overwhelming because no one can keep track of that many things. So we've picked just the top 5 of each category. And this will help you know as we start to put in our actual spending. You'll see where you've spent the most, which expenses were the highest in this period, and it can help you be more mindful and sort of plan for the next pay cycle or next pay period, where you might be able to cut back on some spending to save more. Just get everything in perspective and help you make a plan and be aware of what's going on. And finally up here, these are just little summary cards just for at a glance idea of how you've allocated your money in the dollar figure. All right, so let's go to spend mode. So this chart is going to infill again, as are these, as we put in our actual spending. So now we are going to scroll on down to the transactions log. Now this can be anything you want it to be. It's both for income and expenses and spending, not just outgoing. So anything that comes in and anything that goes out. It will the categories in these drop downs will auto populate with your customized categories in all your different sections. So you don't have to put them in anywhere, and then as you log, it will autofill your actual amounts throughout and do all the calculations for you. I like to actually use this on the Sheets app on my phone, and as I make a transaction, I quickly put it in, or you could, do it at the end of the month or at the end of the week. Just have a look at your bank statements and input all the figures, and it will, auto-categorize everything for you. So just to save time, because iPads are not friendly with a mouse, I'm going to skip the dates, but we'll start putting in some categories and amounts and see how the spreadsheet changes. So let's say we get our paycheck, income, and we get $1,000, and then maybe we get some more income. This time it is freelancing. All right, and now maybe we spent money. All right, now I'll just whiz through and put in a heap more transactions for you guys and catch you on the flip side. All right, welcome back. This is just a teeny little sample, but should hopefully give us enough to go off for now. So we've put in our sample figures in order to keep it simple, because I personally find color coding really helpful, but if there's too much going on, it sort of doesn't really give you much insight. It sort of can just become more confusing. So we've just color coded 2 things here: your income, which is the white background, and then your spending, which is, in my opinion, the easiest place where you can cut back on. Your living expenses and all that kind of stuff, you can be mindful and make decisions or change providers or, find a new rental property or whatever to lower your expenses. But there's a point where you can't do that any further. spending is going to become the last sort of place where you can maximize your funds. So this is a great way just to have a quick overview of all your transactions. Now, if we scroll back up, we can see our lovely dashboard has filled itself in. So now we can see, for example, our expenses actually were not as high as we expected, which is great. In this example, we haven't exceeded any of our budgets, which, you know, is the ideal, but obviously I've just made up all these numbers. Here we can compare with our budget breakdown, see what the differences are. It looks fairly kind of similar actually by accident, which is great. And here we can see, okay, rent was our highest expense, but not as high as we thought it was going to be, or we actually spent a lot more on our water bill than we thought. Here in our spending, we can see that we exceeded in health and eating out. So, you know, maybe next month we'll be more mindful of eating more at home, or you know, making some cheaper choices while still enjoying yourself. However frugal or wild you want to be, that's cool. This will just give you an overview so you understand what's going on. You know, it's really easy to just spend with your card, and it can be so easy to just lose track of everything and think you're fine. It's sort of budget in your brain. But this really lays it out for you and shows you exactly what you're doing and helps you figure out where you can improve. So the other thing I just wanted to quickly point out is, firstly, this little guy over here has now switched to a left to spend chart. So as we input our transactions, we can double check here and know this is how much money we have left for this period. Only for the spending category. So all the other stuff is sort of accounted for. This is really just focusing on your spending. And all throughout our different categories, we have a little progress bar. So if it's colored, it means you have spent some money, but you still have funds to go before you hit your expected or budgeted amounts. Once you hit the amount, it will turn grey. Let's see if I have this. This is an example of perfectly grey where we budgeted 500 and we spent 500, and that's completed and greyed out and ticked itself for us. But in places like this, like health, for example, we budgeted 100, but we actually ended up spending 150. So our little status bar is dark grey. So that's another quick way to sort of have an overview and see, oh, okay, I can see that here and here I overspent, but maybe at the end of the period here I underspent. So that is that. I'll quickly also just run through our bonus goal tracker that's included in the purchase. So we've just made this really simple, easy to understand tracker for all your financial goals. We've got dynamic charts up the top, which update as you work towards your goals. Here we've got 3 different categories: jet, savings, and investments. But again, these will update according to what you called your different categories in the previous spreadsheet. And then these little progress bars will auto work away as you input your goal and what you're trying to work towards. So yeah, I hope you guys found value in this tutorial. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out at my Etsy store, Petite Plan, or of course down below in the comments. Looking forward to hearing your thoughts and helping you guys out. Thank you so much for listening. Bye.